I see members, because of your immunity, you speak anyhow you want in these hallowed chambers. Honorable Speaker, we all know this government is considering rule of law in this country. People comparing this government with the government it succeeded. Even by debate in this parliament, there is changes. We all know that. You are free to speak your mind. You say whatever you want to say. This is all about democracy. But people are standing here saying democracy is not here. Honorable Speaker, we have very progressive clauses in this draft. But I'm hearing, because of you have an ulterior motive just to reject this draft constitution, you don't even mention few of the ones that you think is better, is progressive. You don't even mention them. You are only talking about what you want. It is not what you want that will happen here. It is not what you want that will happen here. It is not that what you want that will be brought here. Sometimes I vote here or I took this on here is not what I want, but what should be. Honorable Speaker, why killing this bill at this stage? You say you don't have trust. So who would trust you again? When you don't trust others, you expect people to trust you. You have made it automatically clear that you don't have trust with your colleague members, and you expect them to trust you. Honorable Speaker, I have a series of consultations with the Gambia Participate and National Council for Civic Education in my constituency. But you know what is the problem? Us as representatives, we are not telling the people what they should know. And when we are dealing with this draft constitution, we politicize everything. Because even during engagements, people ask me, the president, when he was campaigning, he said, when he comes, he will bring a new constitution. That's true. But now they are telling me, if this draft constitution passed, you are talking of 2 terms. What about now the president? What is the next term? What is he going to do? And I agree with people when I explain to them, the 1997 constitution have given the opportunity, the leverage to the president for him to decide whether he wants to continue or whether he wants to contest. We spoke of term limits. The constitution that is governing us today, there is no term limit there. But in fact, even in that engagement, people who are seeing it in a different lens will tell you, when this comes to be this constitution passed, now the president have no mandate to stand. And I give an example. Those who are in mile 2, caught for stealing. If you say today, whoever steals will cut your hand, are we going back to mile 2 to bring them and cut their hands? So sometimes we as representatives, it is not about what we want. Let's tell the people what they should, what should govern a country. People will tell you, this is not about politics, this is not about politics. There are very progressive clauses. We are talking of gender representative. The affirmative actions is in this bill. We need women's representative in governance. It is in this bill. You can count our women here, very few of them. When this bill passed, this constitution, when it passed, we'll have more women representatives in this parliament. Is that not progressive? people living in the disability, they'll be represented. This constitution said about it. We have seen the constitution, this draft constitution. It is giving the authority to the judiciary independently. There were instances you dare not to take a government to court, but this government is taken to court in several cases. That shows how democratic this government is. But this is what people want. We need a very decent society that people will live in. You express yourself. Honorable Speaker, we talk of youth and women representatives. Sometimes, let's allow ourselves and represent the people as we should represent them. Let's leave this bill to come and pass. We go to the committee stage, and then whatever you have, whatever you reserve, you bring it. But you want to kill it at this moment. People are saying we'll bury it. Let's not do that, honorable members. We talk of a new constitution. Honorable Speaker, even me, I have some reserves. There are clauses that I say no to them. But I can also bring my own. There will never be a document that will be placed here that all of us will embrace it. But sometimes I see people don't want the legacy to go, to say this president, it was during his time we have a new constitution. That's right. We need new constitution. We definitely need a new constitution. If you don't have a new constitution, we are talking of, there are a lot of things that is in the constitution. Even the president, the current president, he has mercy. He wants to exercise mercy on the people, and he's not acting on all those clauses. So this bill have very, very progressive clauses that we need to allow the bill to pass, so that we can also bring our own input. You can have your own input. You bring it. We have a new constitution. But you cannot say this will stop here. When are we talking of having a new constitution? And all of us are thinking to have a new constitution. Honorable Speaker, on that note, I take my seat. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Jara West. I now invite the Honorable Member for Foni, Kansala.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First of all, allow me a few seconds to pray to our brother who lost his mom just a few days ago. Honorable Minister of Justice, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant the mom Jannatul Firdaus and all the departed souls. Honorable Speaker, momentarily we are in this chamber, the chamber that brought this 1997 Constitution. The chamber that brought in the historic narration of this country the separation of power that others are copying today to be called Democrats. It is this same country successfully Interior Minister is no more conducting the electoral and the electoral process observing in this country, through which the birth of this constitution had brought us the Independent Electoral Commission. Honorable Speaker, as I heard the Honorable Minister of Justice saying that he is standing here before us not only a Minister of Justice, but as a Gambian. But I'm also going to put it to him that all of us are all Gambians from various constituencies. And in so doing, we are the representative of the people of the Gambia in various constituencies. Honorable Speaker, this draft, this 2024 draft, in my speaking, I'll be borrowing the frequency of languages that was used by the President in making sure I could beautify the soup so that it become eatable for us. This constitution was brought by the cabinet, contrary to 2020, which was all around the length and breadth of this country, from Katong to Koina, each and every hamlet, villages, constituencies, people, and also various representations were consulted. I do hear members saying 1997 constitution, how bad it is, how inefficient it is, the way it has been doing, or a whole lot of issues that they will name it. But I think if it is me as a person, I will not stand before in these chambers to even participate in a debate, thanks to the formation of this government that brought 1997 constitution. Today, we are not in a room and a parlor called the chambers of the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, we need to be very cautious in our deliberation. If, for example, you're comparing and contrasting the 1997 Constitution 2020 draft and the 2024 draft, naming this not fit for purpose, naming this as expired. But it was this same government that the position of the Vice President was left for 8 months without any appointee. Honorable Speaker, we believe in principle that there are no perfections in terms of constitution, but we also believe in principle that nobody will come and spoon-feed us or bring something that is not the wish and aspiration of our people, most of the people of Foni, Kansala. I am told, and my message is very clear, that my first consultation when I had with my people was this. They said they put, or in my head, they have given me, or they have put in my head, a bag of salt, how heavy salt is. And they said, in the middle of the chambers, this is where I should split that bag to show to them that Kansala disapproved this. Kansala doesn't want this to be seen. And in our last consultation that we had, the three of us, Jarol, Bondali, and Kansala, this is how they put it, the people who went to national civic education. But it was not a consultation, it was just an informative, inform you that this is what is happening, we are onto this. You cannot add, you cannot say what you want, you cannot say anything, just be listening to them as spectators. But I'm telling you, they said to me again also, Honorable Jiba, you are representing Kansala. This draft must be buried 40 feet deep in this chamber.
40 feet. This is what my people are saying to me. And now, I have to be very clear. I'm a consultative representative. I don't go to radios, whatever. I visit, talk to my people. 95.5% are saying no to this book. No to this what? Terikafo book. They are now saying no to this what? Cohort group book. This is what they said. And I'm reporting directly from Kansala. And they are hearing me, and they will hear me loud. This is what they are sending me to. Honorable Speaker, when this government came, ranging from coalition partners, it is now 8 years, evidence, 8 years, in service of governance. They were now saying, no, this we will change. And this was the slogan of
observation.
So when they did that, change occurs to their favor. And it was answered. The first is, let's amend the age limit. The second is, if you are from a political party as a National Assembly member, you can jump the boat as you will, in and out, accept it. But they have forgotten the Public Order Act. That they said most of them were crying foul for the former government. It was not only rejected, it was brought and rejected, and they say we are not supporting it. So I want to, Honorable Speaker, I want to put this question. Who are they? And what has changed? What have they moved into? And what do they want? So you want us to join the group or the Bahal cabinet of this? This were a slogan that we used. I'm just borrowing, and it's all over. I'm just borrowing to make sure things flows. And you have to understand. Honorable Speaker, now moving on, you realize that in the 2020 draft, chapter 4 of the 2020, you realize that the commitment of accountability, the commitment of profiting is not in this. Now, when you move again to section 273.
Speaker, order.
Now,
point of order.
On a point of order.
Yes,
I'm
writing order 29, content of speech. 1. Every member shall restrict his or her observation to the subject matter under discussion. We are talking about the general merits and principles, not in depth of the bill itself.
Yeah, sustained. That is sustained. You don't go into the various provisions of the Constitution. Can you please? Kansala, can you take the floor, please?
thank you, Honorable Speaker. Now, in the area of what we believe to be progressive, our teachers deserve better. But this is zero for Teacher Service Commission. Our nurses deserve better, 0 to it, comparing to this book. 100 million plus was spent, length and breadth of country. The waves of aeroplanes were taken all around in Europe, just to be thrown away. And now you hear members saying they have reasons of throwing that book. Now I wonder, most of the cases people said term limit is there, 50 plus 1 is there. Do we look like term limit seekers? Foni people. My councillor, I said, let me put it to you people. Are councillor working on term limit
Or they are working on 50+1. They want a constitution that will stand and also work on the aspiration of the Gambian people. Ask yourself, do Parliament have time limit? Why don't we put time limit for ourselves? So if you believe and said, okay, based on this constitution, time limit is there, we could work towards making sure it's progressive. 50+1 is there, progressive. Who told you that the next government cannot even take the whole assembly? Who told you? You are the believer, allazina yu'minuna bighayb. You are the believer of unseen. Who told you, members? Who told you? So you want to narrate people and say, you know, it will never happen, as if you know what is coming. You know what is coming. It will never happen. So we want to put this reality, Honorable Speaker, that whatever we are to do, we are guided by the principles of our people, the principles of people who want us to make sure we stand and defend the cause that is hijacked, and we will never be in the hijacked group of a Concord judge. Honorable Speaker, naturally, I put this question. If, for example, the necessity of repealing this constitution, I believe what could have made life very easier by now is we have this book. When they came, the ambience were okay. They are flying health and shelter. We took over. It could have been a moment where they said, look, this is a constitution. We have the entrenched clause and the clauses that are not entrenched. Let's group them together. 1997 constitution. That let's group them together, those clauses that are entrenched, we group them together, we move to referendum. Those who are not entrenched, we make sure that we work towards the assembly and repeal. This could have also helped us. The 100 million could be now used on Demban. That is a dead row squad, as we feel. Demban clinic. Our schools, the 100 million could have been used for that. And now generally, this, as I may end, this book, this Terikafo book, this, I am saying that it doesn't work on defending my culture. I believe in my culture. It's zero to my culture. Zero to my culture, and I'm saying it's zero to it, to be buried 40 feet deep. And secondly, I'm also saying, Honorable Speaker, that this is a book that is not in line with my principles and the rule of law, and what I think is objectively for 2.3 million Gambian populace. I end by this, and I will repeat. I am sorry for the Justice Minister who brought this, but it will be a lesson, and the lesson is 40 feet deep is the final destination on peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Foni Kansala. I now invite the Honorable Member for Foni Bintang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It is, Honorable Speaker, it's not our duty to please NPP. Honorable Speaker, looking at the Constitution, I want to thank His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia.
Order, Speaker. A point of order. Yes, I rise on the same order, content of speech. The member is talking about pleasing MPP. We are not about MPP. We are about the country. So we want him to understand that we are here for the country, not about the party.
Honorable, you cannot avoid talking about political parties. Yeah, it's part of the whole broad-based coalition. Honorable Member for Foni Bintang, can you continue?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia. I want to also thank the honorable ministers here present. I want to thank the honorable members also here present. And I want to thank the gallery and everybody around. What we are about to witness is the burial of the draft Constitution 2024. Going forward, that is what we are about to witness. And this is one of the most interesting things in this National Assembly today. Going further, Honorable Speaker, as a nation, when we speak, it's not because we want to speak. When we debate, it's not because we want to please anybody. We debate because we want the interests of the nation and because we want this nation to progress as a nation. Honorable Speaker, we must know what is the difference between the 1997 Constitution and the draft Constitution 2024. Looking at the 1997 Constitution, it's talking about the appointment of chiefs by the President, which becomes a challenge as well. Today, our chiefs, as we can see, most of them are appointed by the President, all of them, appointed by the President. Now, at that point in time, we are looking at a progressive society where people want people to hold position whom they actually want to serve them. If the people don't want you in your constituency, for you to become a chief, an individual to appoint you, just for you to serve the individual, I think we should look at that as a nation. That is what we refer to as a progressive constitution and a progressive society. When we made laws to better the situation. I said it again, we are not making laws to worsen the situation. And most of the people are coming up with the argument that we should pass it and at the consideration stage, then we can amend it. Mantakela B, mantakela Sam. The reason as to why, most of the time, in the consideration stage, we are overpowered by the majority at all the time. All the time we are overpowered. What is the certainty that we can have them to amend it the way we want it? Never. Many a times they will bully us and tell us everything that they want to tell us here, even when we are on the right track. We are telling you that this one will not pass this stage, and we are ready to bear it. Going further, one may ask, how did he come up with all this? There was a consultation that was made by the NCCE, National Council for Civic Education. And they call all the stakeholders that they want to call, the alcalos and the chiefs. Foni Bintang and Foni Brevet were boxed together. I was there. And you know what the people said? They said, Bakari, you should throw this constitution. I told them that you people are saying we throw this constitution. I was into this position, and you are telling me, you are reaffirming that we should throw it. We are ready to throw it. Because what is happening is, people are talking about the term limit for the president, for example. Now, you said there is term limit. We are not arguing that there is no term limit. But what term limit are we talking about? Wherein the president have to serve this term, and the constitution does not go backward. It starts from where it starts. That we are going to give the president 2 terms again. Mantakela B, mantakela Sam. We are not doing it. We are not doing it. That is actually what we are talking about. This is among the reasons as to why I don't even attend Goodluck Jonathan's consultation. How can he come and tell us what to do and what not to do? As parliamentarians, consultation is important, but we should know what we are going to do. I told you last time that our decision will not be based on what America thinks about us. Our decision will not be based on what Canada thinks about us. Our decision will be based on what our people want, what is applicable here. That is why that consultation meeting, I was not even there. Now, when we talk about a constitution, what is actually a constitution? A constitution is the set of rules and regulations that guides us. And that we should be in a position to determine that. It is our people down there in the provinces, in the rural Gambia, that should know if I do this is a violation, and this and that is what I am expected to do. So, Honorable Speaker, it is interesting for the world to know that we are against this draft constitution, and we are against it. And for the last time today, we will attain victory that will go down the line in the history that everybody will talk about. And this victory that we are proud of, and we will celebrate it more than you do celebrate your closest victories here. When you attain your closest victory, it's celebrated. But this time around, this celebration will be more than any other celebration. So consider it dead forever.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Foni Bintang. I now invite the Honorable Member for Wuli West.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I wish to join my colleagues to thank the Honorable Minister of Justice for tabling this bill, and members of Cabinet present here. I also like to thank the NCC and then Gambia participate. Honorable Speaker, sometimes I think I'm in a wrong country. Due to the fact that people whom you know, the progress and the development of this country should be their intention and aim. They are the very people who do not want this country to any progress. 2020 draft constitution. You want to reject this draft because of the 2020 draft constitution was rejected? Why? You said people voted against it. That's why today you want to come and vote against the 2024 draft constitution. That is not a genuine reason that the Gambian people should even hear from us. Honorable Speaker, the reason why these people, those who rejected the draft 2024 draft constitution, there is a main reason. Even me, I stood up in a political platform in URR, in my constituency. I said the Parliament should not accept the 2024 draft constitution. Reason based on it. 2024 draft constitution. You brought the 2024 draft constitution as a blasted coup for the president. 2020, you brought it as a blasted coup for the president. You brought the 2020 draft constitution as a blasted coup for the president, which fails. And then it was brought for a selfish individual. As we are saying, those who are selfish, they are never selfish. But the one who was behind that draft constitution is the one who is the guy who was selfish. It was purposely for an individual. Let us accept the fact. If you wish, you reject this draft constitution. After rejecting, what next? Ask yourself, what next? You are judging those people that rejected the draft constitution in 2020 as selfish people. What are you going to be judged if you reject this one today? Tell us. Everything happens. It happens for a reason. And then behind the reason, there is a lesson that we need to learn. People are saying we are going to jubilate, we are going to bury it 100 feet deep. If you want, you bury it 1 million deep. You will see it. It's not for Barrow. It's not for the president. It's for the Gambian people. Definitely. Reject it if you wish. If you wish, you support it. Thank you. We need to a responsible cabinet. Calling them Bahal cabinet. It's unfortunate. This is one of the best government that we have ever had before since independence. This is one of the best cabinet that we have ever had since independence. They don't accept the fact. Honorable Speaker, where are we heading to? I don't know this. Only have a model. Anything you do, good or bad, you must have a credit. Because if you don't want the credit to go to the present government, that's why you want to reject it. Reject it. And then this government have a credit that nobody on this earth can erase in history. Let us accept the fact. This draft constitution is not brought for political reasons. No. It's for the benefit of the Gambian people. But if you are not interested on the development and the welfare of this nation, that's why you want to reject it. It's your soul. Honorable Speaker, people need to know this is a nation. This is a nation that needs to be developed. And it needs collectively for us to develop this nation. But because of political reasons, or you don't want a credit for the present government, you want to reject the bill. Even with or without this bill, the government of the day have already gained a credit. You are talking here, nobody disturb you. Please, be rational, you know. Honorable Sami, be rational. Honorable Speaker, this bill belongs to us. If you want, you pass it. If you want, you reject it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Wuli West. I now invite the Honorable Member for Illiassa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, let me first clear myself that as far as this constitution is concerned, through series of consultation in my constituency, the majority of the people in the Illiassa constituency, they give their blessing to this constitution. And then I want to declare from here that I am also in support of this constitution. Honorable Speaker, this constitution before us today is a constitution for the Gambia. It's not a constitution for a party or an individual. We should understand that very well. This constitution, I want you to reflect your mind back. A lot of money, millions of dollars have been spent on this constitution. This draft constitution. So we should make sure that we should not allow that money to go in vain. Honorable Speaker, we have to understand that the Gambia belongs to Gambians. And we should have love for our country. Definitely this constitution, I know for certain, the majority of Gambians are in support of this constitution. We are few in the National Assembly here. Let us not try to deny them from their right. So what I want is, let us be fair to our people. Let us be fair to Gambians. And that we make sure that we give chance to this draft constitution. This is all what I want. Honorable Speaker, as I said before, we have to be conscious. We have to be smart and critically look into this constitution. It's a constitution that favors the Gambian people. So as I said before, we should be fair to our people. So as far as I'm concerned, and then I have to dance to the tune of my people, they support this constitution, and I am here to support this constitution as well. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Illiassa. I now invite the Honorable Member for Latri-Kunda, Sabiji.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'll join my previous speakers or colleagues to thank the Attorney General for bringing this constitution again. If my memory could serve me well, it was the same Attorney General who brought the last one, 2021, that was rejected before this National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, as parliamentarian speaks, there are two things that are confirmed and collaborated. Number one, politicians mostly don't have principle and memory. Two, mostly we are not capable of shame. Honorable Speaker, when this particular document was brought before this National Assembly, there were National Assembly members here today who spoke in principle against the Constitution. Today, they are speaking in favor of the Constitution. That's why I said these two things people said about politicians are collaborated and confirmed today. Honorable Speaker, this is not my first time I say. Constitution is not an ordinary act of parliament. Constitution embodies the democratic wills and aspirations of people. Honorable Speaker, we cannot talk about this without giving history. What happened? Why do we have the revised 2024 draft? Why do we have the 2020 draft? The procedures. 2020 was a very progressive one. There was a nationwide consultation, exhaustive consultation inside the country and outside the country. People were engaged what kind of law you want to be governed. You cannot have a constitution that you don't consult the people to be governed. The Gambians agree on that particular constitution. It came before this National Assembly and it was rejected by the National Assembly members. That was people's constitution. That is why many Gambians will say borrowed draft and the people's constitution. This is exactly what they are referring to. Because 2020 was consultative, both inside this country and outside this country. But this particular one, a group of people who...
Point of order. Yes, I'm rising on order 29 and I'm rising number 6. The name of the President of the Republic of the Gambia shall not be used to influence the Assembly. He's using Barrow here to influence the decision here. So I want him to withdraw.
Honorable, I think you allow the honorable member to continue. Honorable member has not named the president's name.
Thank you very much,
the president.
Honorable Speaker.
We don't
for
need
that progressive rule.
Honorable, just give me, Honorable Latri-Kunda. Honorable, the name of the president was not used. And therefore cannot be sustained. And we now allow the honorable member for Latri-Kunda Sabiji to proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for that progressive ruling. Honorable Speaker, this National Assembly will refuse to be subject to political capture, surrender, and manipulation. We will refuse it. Honorable Speaker, history, in my view, if you want to be a good politician, you learn history. You don't need to learn political science. Because history, you'll be able to know how great leaders fail. But for political science, Honorable Minister for Information, Political Science will agree with me. You only learn the theories. You only learn theories, but for history, you will learn important past events. For history, you will be able to sort out the relevance from less irrelevance so that you are not going to subject yourself to those who propose simple and cheap-minded solutions to our problems. And this is what is happening in the National Assembly right now. Honorable Speaker, if we go further, let's ask ourselves, 2020 was very consultative. Where are our youths? Where are the voices of our youths? Where are the voices of our farmers? Where are the voices of our teachers? Where are the voices of our nurses? Where are the voices of our market women? Where are the voices of our carpenters? Where are the voices of our mechanics? Where are the voices of each and every individual that was consulted in the 2020 draft? They threw all those voices together, and few people consider themselves oligarchs who feel that they should not be accountable to any law in this country, and that's the cabinet. The cabinet met together. They threw every ideas Gambians put together in 2020 draft and considered themselves above the law. Honorable Speaker, let's look at why this constitution should not go far. And I pity the majority camp. You see, if you want to defend something, if you don't believe in something, you cannot defend it. And this is what is happening. When they all stood up, they all said the same thing. Because you don't believe in this. I remember last week when my senior told me to write an opinion on a particular case. I told him I don't believe in this case. I can't write an opinion. This is what you could have told the executive. You don't believe in this document, so you cannot defend it. That is why all of you are saying the same thing, one after the other. But you don't believe in it. Honorable Speaker, 2020 was blood and sacrifices of Gambians. And we will make sure we restore the blood and sacrifices of Gambians. When Gambians galvanize themselves to a very powerful political force and remove former President Jammeh in 2016, we did this because we want a progressive Gambia. We did it because we want a new constitution. That is why I said this 2020 was blood and sacrifices of Gambians, and we are going to restore this. We are not going to negotiate around 2024. And Honorable Speaker, let Gambians don't get it wrong. We, the opposition, are ready to negotiate. But we can only negotiate around the 2020 draft, not the revised 2024. So people should not mistake that opposition through this particular document. No, we don't. We want to negotiate, but we are going to negotiate around the 2020. Honorable Speaker, let's look at presidential term limit and the transitional clause. 2020, there is term limit. But 2020 went further to give us the transitional clause, to explain to us the current term of the president is included, is counted. This 2024 doesn't have that. So literally it's telling us that President Barrow can say, I am starting my term this year or next year. His pleasure and discretion, we cannot allow that. We cannot allow one man's pleasure and discretion to govern us. This is why 2020 was eliminated in this National Assembly, because you guys felt that the transitional clause should not be part of it. And the same thing is repeating. We are not also going to accept this until there is a clear transitional clause that will tell us all the previous term of the president are counted. Honorable Speaker, powers of the president versus checks and balances. I said it here. We will not allow anybody to be an oligarch whereby you are above the law. You are not going to subject yourself to our rules and regulations. You are not going to subject yourselves to the law. There was this common sense. If you are the guards now, who will now guide the guards? That's what is missing in this particular constitution. The president is the guard. Who is going to guide it? We want the rules, the laws of this country to guide every action of the president. And this is what is missing in this 2024 draft. Honorable Speaker, we also got human rights and freedom. 2020, the detention period was 48 hours. 48 hours. Why is this government so eager to detain people to 72 hours? What is wrong? Because, you see, what is always passing in the mind of Parliament when we are making laws is for the good of citizens. 48 hours is to give police ample time to be able to react to crime and investigate it properly, so that people are not going to be detained in this country for 72 hours. And there was 48 hours in the 2020 draft. This new draft said 72 hours. Why do you want to detain citizens to that amount of hours? Honorable Speaker, decentralization and local governance. We don't want to see local governments that are mere extension of the executive. We want to see independent local government authorities. You can see on and on and on. Local government authorities are in loggerhead with the government before the courts. So the 2020 draft was very clear on ambiguous terms. The local government authority and the financial independence. But this 2020 draft came to overhaul all of that and still feel that local government authorities should be mere extension of the central government. This is another reason, Honorable Speaker, this constitution will collapse before this National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, accountability and integrity in public service. If you look at this draft, the government used a shield before themselves and accountability. You cannot rule people and you don't want to be accounted for. I'm not saying completely, there is no complete accountability in the draft, but the accountability is not very clear. And we don't, this parliament don't want to make laws that are not clear. If you make laws that are not clear, they go before the courts, it attracts several interpretations. We want to make sure accountability mechanisms in this constitution are as clear as white paper. Honorable Speaker, socio-economic rights. Another thing that is seriously missing in this constitution. In the 2020 draft, there was right to free education. This 2024 draft came to revise all of that. Gambian citizens are poor. We want to make sure that there is free education all over, and this 2024 draft is not something that we can go by. Honorable Speaker, public participation and consultation. Constitution should be, people should be consulted, especially those who are going to be governed. And this is what happened in 2020, but it's not happening in 2024 because this draft was done by the cabinet. 23 persons out of 2 million people cannot impose their wills and caprices on us. Therefore, this constitution will collapse before this National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, another interesting part in this constitution is total removal of a total chapter on leadership and integrity. Honorable Speaker, this is so key. Any leader must be accountable. You cannot just bring in any leader to rule us. So why is the executive agree on to remove the entire chapter on leadership and integrity? What are they trying to hide from public? What are they trying to hide from us? And in fact, if I am the president of this country, I'll be very, very happy if my Inspector General of Police or my cabinet are subject to National Assembly approval. What is more pleasing than that? What you look at the television, you watch your potential minister, your potential Inspector General of Police being scrutinized by the National Assembly. In fact, by way of that, you know that you are now coming to appoint quality people. Because the National Assembly will scrutinize their background, their education, their integrity, their everything. So you, as the President of the Republic, you'll be so happy to know that now I am coming to work with people with high moral, people with integrity. Some of the ministers in here, they remove this because they know they will not pass this National Assembly scrutiny. That's why they connive with the President and remove all of that. But if I am the President, I'll be so happy to see my Inspector General of Police scrutinized by members of Parliament, my potential ministers. What is wrong with that, honorable ministers? Why do you people remove that part of it? You don't have trust in yourself that you pass the National Assembly scrutiny. So based on that also, this constitution will collapse before this National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, another important thing is the weakened National Assembly. This constitution weakened our role as the supreme oversight body in this country. This National Assembly is already weak. Imagine if it is further weak.
Honorable Speaker, point of order.
This National Assembly is a weak National Assembly.
Honorable Speaker, point of order. Honorable Member for Opanyami. Honorable Speaker, Order 67-1. Second reading. 1
On a motion being moved that a bill be read second time, the general merit and the principle of the bill may be debated. Honorable member is going into the details of the bill. So let him restrict himself to the merit and the principle of the bill. Thank you.
Honorable member, he is giving a synopsis of the whole constitution. He's not going into the relevant provisions. He's talking, honorable, please. He's talking broadly on this. Honorable, what I thought you would have said was, the honorable member, I oversighted that you cannot insinuate into what people are doing. You are accusing honorable ministers that they know they will not pass, as if you are the entire National Assembly or you are part of them. That was not gentlemanly at all. Avoid those types. But you can continue with your these things. Please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the other thing this National Assembly should do themselves a good favor is because this 2024 draft makes us a very weak oversight body. Honorable Majority Leader, Honorable Speaker, now, this National Assembly, we all know, is not a very strong National Assembly. If we further allow ourselves to be more weakened by the Constitution, then it's better we don't come and sit here. Because by way of that, we will not be able to perform our oversight function on ministers, permanent secretaries, the executive arm, the directors, etc., etc. And this draft constitution aims to make us a very weak National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, also this constitution...
Honorable Speaker, point of order.
A point of order?
Honorable member for opinion, Honorable Speaker.
Huh? Opinion?
Yes. Honorable Speaker, on the 29, content of speech. 5. No member shall input improper motive to any other member. Honorable member is imputing improper motive on honorable members by saying that this assembly is going to be a weak assembly. If that's what he said. Honorable anyway, if that,
surrender and manipulation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Latri-Kunda Sabiji.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for bringing this bill before us. But then to start with, I think you have put the cart before the horse. Because for me, what I am seeing here is, yes, allow the bill to pass, commit it to a committee, let them do the necessary consultations. When in reality, when the ministry was drafting this very 2024 draft constitution, the approach should have been doing the necessary consultations to enable the government to align part of the content in the 2020 draft constitution that was rejected by this very National Assembly. Because the issues that actually emerged in the 2020 draft constitution that led to its rejection was about 15 issues. When the executive took it upon themselves through your office, it emerged that over 126 issues actually emerged because those were the changes done by your ministry. And today, it seems the National Assembly is sacrificed. That's the way I see it. Because one, if we support it, there will be groups that would say they have supported the wrong document. If we reject it, it will almost be the same. But to tell you, Honorable Minister, we must understand the fact that the executive and the National Assembly must work hand in gloves in order to achieve the desired goals for sustainable national development, which I am not seeing. All that I see is anytime when there are issues that are for national interest, we tend to put in politics. Imagine, since the Ministry of Justice started drafting this very document, there was no instance that they put the members of the minority caucus and members of the majority caucus together to discuss as a family. Instead, what was happening is, even this very morning, ministers offering their expertise to the majority caucus as if it is going to be the usual way, that simple majority. In this case, it's different. You now hook yourself, and I would see where you will overcome that hook, because there is no way that we will take it light for anybody when it comes to national issues. And we must understand this. And we must understand the fact that no single party or individual can develop this country. If you look at the draft, one thing that even baffles me is the sect, that is the youth sect, that we think or believe covers majority part of our population. We cannot even properly define them. We are referring that youth age from 18 to 35. To remind you, even in the National Youth Act, the youth age is in between 15 to 35. Except otherwise, the Gambia want to use a different approach. And these are the very people we will go out for to cast votes for us when we want to canvass votes. But if it comes to their plights, we take it very light, and we attach no importance to that very sector. Honorable Speaker, today I am seeing my colleagues playing the victim card, saying, let's allow it to pass. Who is saying we are not going to allow it to pass? You can even see it from your body languages, that you are desperate as a camp. No, Atawaka. You are desperate as a camp. And this should also tell the leadership that you don't really have the people that can convince the masses when it comes to issues that are sensitive. Seriously, we should have discussed some of these issues outside, but you shy away. You think, yes, you have the numbers. And to be honest with you, we cannot trust you. We have seen the games. It was a week or so when a committee's report was before us to hold people to account, to hold institutions to account, to put the country in a better footing. You refer it because you think holding public officials to account
Point of order,
is like attacking a government.
Point of order, please. 67. Honorable Speaker, I'm rising on order 67 on a motion be moved that the bill be read a second time. The general merits and principles of the bill may be debated. We are not debating issue of FPAC report or its resolution. So let him make reference to the constitution that is under discussion. So restrain or restrict your motivation on the constitution. Thank you.
Honorable members, you see, when you debating a law like the national constitution, it will be very difficult to debate it without bringing in some inferences to some other things. Because the very principle we are now talking about, the very honorable members, please. We are talking about the merits and the principles. Honorable, a minute. We are talking about the merits and principles of a constitution, the supreme law of the land, that incorporates almost every other thing. What we will not expect members to do is to go into some of the details of the Constitution. But to make some broad-based statements about the Constitution and relating to other things, those are the principles and the merits. Yeah, you know, when you talk about the FPAC, you aligning it to the Constitution in a sense that why that principle or these things should not happen or should happen to offset that. So let's try as much as possible avoid talking about the general provisions of the Constitution. Constitution as it relates, because everything you talk about is here. Anything you talk about is here. So it's going to be difficult to limit people from not making other statements. Honorable Member for Janjangbureh.
Thank you. Let me borrow this word, Honorable Speaker. Magbah nasikir, and I think age is wisdom. Thank you for having you. And also what I notice is if you talk about accountability, you see crocodile tears coming down from some members. And, you know, if we are to represent, sometimes we don't have to be emotional. We don't have to take things personal. What we are saying here is, let's put things in the right way. That reminded me. This is why even in the draft, in the 2024 draft, the accountability aspect is been deleted. And that even make the parliament very weak. For example, like the president's post should declare assets is something that we really lose in the 2024 draft. And, you know, sometimes we really need to protect our public officials and their spouse. And to do that would be for them to declare whatever asset they own before they occupy #1 Marina House. After, when they serve, they should also do the same. That can give the citizens the opportunity to actually understand whether, before they come to power, what was their wealth. After leaving, what do they also have? You know, that can also kind of, you know, clean their hands with political parties as well. To say political parties should declare the fundings they receive. This doesn't go well with many political parties. I'm glad that I don't belong to any political party, as long as I am concerned. You know, because we know very well sometimes the way we get money. We go out there, get money from the mafias, come, spend it on our parties, and after winning elections, we start giving them contracts just to please them. These are the things we want to avoid. We have seen a lot of scandals in this country. From the petition, you name it. No, Russian mom, I don't want to touch that one for so many reasons. That one will come before us someday. The FPAC report that was here a few days ago. How many FPAC reports have we adopted? So our problem is not about laws. Our problem is enforcing laws. For me, that's the way I take things. Even if we say the 1997 Constitution is bad, it's that Constitution that is governing us. That reminds me that this is a plot by the ruling government in order for them to stay long in power. Because they know very well if they come up with 126 changes, no one will accept that from them. If the approach is wrong, no one will accept such a bill from them. Because they know the 1997 favors them. So it's a plot. It's a political plot. It's a political plot. And we will defend the truth to the core. In 2020, it was in the same parliament where we rejected the 2020 draft constitution, when 116 million was spent on it. Not even the monetary aspect, but the consultations were broad and wide. If we can reject that for our own personal interest and come up with something that will really prolong our stay in power, we are saying no, and a big no. It will never happen. Honorable Speaker, the National Assembly floor is not a place where we should just be making noise, but then we should use the opportunity to resolve on issues that will be of national interest. And we have done a lot in terms of accountability, but it seems the executive are not committed or interested in implementing what we call issues that are adopted by this very august National Assembly. And now you are telling us that adopt it, sorry, pass it. If you pass it, when we go for the considerations, you know, we will ensure that the things that we left out, we bring them in. When you were drafting it, why should you leave 126 issues unattended, deliberately deleting them, as if your computer keys can only delete? This is what you are telling us. And aside that, you are telling us that, look, National Assembly members, you are not important to the cause. This is a national document. You cannot do this alone. You cannot do this alone. We have been crying for so many issues. And our expectations were to address them through progressive laws. We were expecting the draft that was going to come before us was going to be consultative. I appreciate the work that the civil society organizations have done. I definitely appreciate that part of consultations they have done. And I believe we have given them the right feedbacks from that point. It depends how government actually process those feedbacks, digest them, and ensure they have a plan to address some of the feedbacks we have given, because government was very busy, not even to engage with us. It were the CSOs until 3 or 4 months ago when NCCE also engaged us. But even with that, the engagements were very limited. You cannot call on alcalos, National Assembly members, chiefs, campaigns or whatever, bring them in a hall, serve drinks and food. You want to discuss on a national document. It's not realistic, neither sustainable. All that we are good at is to go and waste national resources in the name of workshop and also to baffle the masses. That is not this generation. We cannot be baffled, and we will not allow to be baffled by anybody. This is beyond the president. This is beyond the honorable minister. This is beyond the National Assembly. This is about Gambia and Gambians. Imagine some of us saying that, let's support this. Let's support this draft, that is the 2024 draft. When we even struggle to obtain parliamentary questions from the executive, when in the draft constitution, it is omitted to scrutinize ministers before this August Assembly. It's deleted. So if this cannot address our problems, I have evidence, I can show it out. I have multiple parliamentary written questions that I struggle to get answers for. And you go to the office of the clerk, they will tell you it's not our responsibility to provide you with the answers or to force ministers to provide you with the answers. Hey, we need laws that will make us effective, not only effective, but efficient to actually do our work as legislators. Nothing more, nothing less. What we are witnessing is not really appealing. And I can see, seriously, I have been interacting with most of you, even from your body languages. Billahi, I sympathize you. I can see a non-commitment from your end. And I'm pretty sure you cannot be committed to this. You yourselves know, inside you, this is not representing the aspiration of Gambians. I'm not referring to any camp, but So for me, since your consent is not even allowing you to accept this at the bottom of your heart, let's do the needful, throw it away. Aside throwing it away, let's come up with a plan, either to repeal the 1997 Constitution in order to give Gambians the opportunity to have progressive laws. Since we are saying the 1997 is not progressive, but it is this very Constitution that is guiding the day-to-day operation of this nation. So for me, as I said earlier, the 2024 draft Constitution is a mere scam. On that note, I beg to take my seat.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Janjangbureh. I now invite the Honorable Nominated Member, Keba Lamfofana.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, to start with, I want to register that I rise in solidarity to the draft Constitution 2024. And to do that, I would like to thank the Attorney General and Minister of Justice and the government of the Gambia in their current quest to fulfill a fundamental imperative towards the transformative agenda of our 2016 change. Honorable Speaker, our gathering today is different from any other that we've witnessed since 2022. We are gathered today not to discuss on a single bill. We are gathered today to promulgate a constitution which should serve generations, which should serve as a guiding principle towards the attainment of the aims and aspirations of our people. So, Honorable Speaker, the first question we should have asked ourselves is, what do we want? And by saying, what do we want, that should have mirrored the aims and aspirations of the people we represent. And to do that, we must make a recollection of history. The Honorable Member for Wuli is started in 1965. Honorable Speaker, I will start from 1946. The Gambia was not created out of a vacuum. The Gambia came into being out of the sacrifice of great men and women. From 1920 to 1940, there were civil society organizations here, the likes of Edward Francis Small, who were championing the nationalist voice, who were calling for greater inclusion. Because by then, the Gambia was a subject of the British colony. And as a result of that, in 1946, a fundamental issue happened, which was the creation of the first Legislative Council. And what did the first Legislative Council intend to do? Was to make sure that the voices of the people were included in the decision making. And that Legislative Council was a 14-man team. Out of this 14-man team, only 3 people were Gambians. And all of them were chosen from where? Batos. That's why in latter years, when you call for inclusion and greater participation in the way we were governed, people started saying the first Legislative Council was what? Banjul-centric. But, Honorable Speaker, as far back as 1946, our forefathers knew what they wanted. By then, we were a British colony. They said we wanted self-determination. They said we wanted to be governed by ourselves. Fast forward to 1951, the famous McCarthy Commission, which was launched to investigate into the behavior of what? The representatives. Because remember, in 1946, the first Legislative Council, only 3 people were what? Included. All of them came from Banjul, which means the protectorate were what? Excluded. And the governor, who was a British, was having absolute powers. Now, what did the Gambia want in 1951? This was the time when the spirit of Pan-Africanism was flaming at its peak. Countries were moving towards independence. Our forefathers, the Persarnjais, you call them, they started laying the foundation for independence and expanded the Legislative Council from a 14-man member team to what? 21. And in this case, the protectorate were included. Banjul 4 and what? The protectorate 4. Did they stop? No. Because still, the Gambia was being colonized and ruled by the British. Then the call for independence started coming. That gave birth to the 1960 Constitution. And in the 1960 Constitution, the foundation was laid for independence. The foundation was laid to ensure that there was inclusivity. In 1970, after independence in 1965, a failed constitution. I would say in 1965 there was a failed constitution. In 1970 we had our first constitution. And in that first constitution, what was the aims and aspirations of our forefathers? It was for what? Sovereignty. It was for what? Citizenship. It was for what? To have an executive president. Did they achieve it? Yes. Because after the 1970 constitution, the Gambia became a republic. With Sadara Karabajara, may his soul rest in peace, becoming our first president. That is why you and I today, we call ourselves what? Gambians. If not, we would have been British subjects. Why am I saying this, Honorable Speaker? Our forefathers, even in 1970, in 1946, in 1951, in 1960, in 1965, they knew what they wanted. What do we want? Honorable Speaker, the 1970 Constitution enabled the first republic to rule this country for 29 years. Go to your history. 1965 was rejected. Honorable Speaker, the 1970 Constitution allowed the PPP government to rule this country for 29 years. What we should ask ourselves is, why? Because one, there were no time limits in the 1970 Constitution. Two, there was too much concentration on the presidency. Three, there were no governance with regards to what? The structures of political peace. Back in the 1997 Constitution, in the 1997 Constitution, we said it was a transition from rule to what? Democracy. And there were good provisions. Initially, there was the term limit. But what happened to the term limit? It was removed. We said we wanted the protection of what? Fundamental human rights. Yes, they are enshrined in the 1997 Constitution. But what happened to those rights? They were violated numerous times. What happened to those rights? They were not even what? Considered. Then fast track to 2016. Fast track to 2024. I will answer the question why I didn't talk about 2020. And to answer that question, I would quote from Wuli West. He said, it doesn't mean that we failed yesterday, then we cannot do it today. 2020 is history. Let's come to 2024. Honorable members, I will ask the question again. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? I've listened and I've listened keenly. If we are to serve our people, our actions, our utterances today in this honorable hall should not be guided by emotions. But all I'm hearing is like the Senegal drama, Gatsa Gatsa. Far from it. You are not doing it for me. You are not doing it for the current government. In 2016, after the change, we said we wanted a new Gambia. But as Jomo Kenyatta said, he said we must be a united people so that what we can have a new. We must be united in spirit, in heart, with a major definitive purpose so that we can usher in a new constitution. What happened to the process? I wouldn't elaborate on that. We said we wanted a new constitution. Why? Because one, we realized that the 1997 constitution we were having, too much powers were given what? To the president. We realized that the 1997 constitution we were having, there were no what? Term limits. We realized that even though fundamental human rights are guaranteed in the 1997 constitution, but we do not have the required institutional frameworks to ensure that democratic resilience. We realize that as a people, we must redefine our future. But honorable members, if we must redefine our future, we must remind ourselves that the Gambia is one country. When the constitutional pioneers of America met in 1793 or 1787, there were 13 counties. The smaller counties were looking for equality, whereas the larger counties were looking at what? Dominance, because they have a higher what? Population. But what do? They strike a compromise. That's why the Attorney General told you that constitutional building requires consensus. Are we working towards that angle? No. Do I say everything in this book reflects what each and every Gambian wants? No. But is there any honorable member here who can stand and tell me everything in this book is against what we believe as a Gambia, as Gambians? I challenge any honorable member to take the floor and tell me a provision in this book, in this draft constitution, that is anti-Gambia. There would be none. Honorable members, if at all in 2017, the new Gambia we wanted is the new Gambia that is going to ensure that fundamental human rights are respected, I will tell you that is protected by the 2024 draft. If at all the new Gambia we wanted in 2017 is the new Gambia that is going to ensure that there are presidential term limits and there will be no self-perpetuation in governments, I will tell you, and I'm telling you for free, the 2024 Constitution guarantees that. Honorable members, if at all the new Constitution or the new Gambia we wanted in 2017 was the new Gambia that will be ruled on absolute majority basis, the 2024 draft embodies that. And honorable speaker, members, if at all what we yearn for is a future that is based on inclusivity, it's a future that gives hope and confidence to our youth and women, I will tell you, they are empowered by the 2024 draft. And honorable speaker, many speakers have taken the floor in a bid to mislead the people. The issue of integrity is a cross-cutting issue in any constitutional process. The issue of integrity and accountability are expressed in a constitution through the what separation of powers. Go through this draft. The legislature is empowered. The judiciary is empowered. Does it have to be explicit? No. It's in the processes and the mechanisms of accountability. You have anti-corruption provisions where the president, the vice president.
Honorable nominated member,
Yes,
I thought you were going to be ready before 1730. Will you give us, honorable members, is going 1730? And if we are to complete, a motion must be moved for us to complete the order paper for today.
Can I move the motion?
Pardon?
Can I move the motion?
Yes, you may.
The Honorable Speaker, I'm rising on 53K to sit beyond 6 and finish business.
Honorable members, any seconder? Honorable member for Lower Salum?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion.
Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that we sit beyond 6 to complete the order of business today. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. Honorable nominated member, you can continue.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I was elaborating on integrity and accountability. And I will repeat that many deliberations were made on the floor here, which sounds misleading. integrity and accountability issues doesn't need to be explicitly provided in the Constitution. They are in the process. One, you look at how the Constitution expresses the separation of powers into the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. And two, Honorable Speaker, I made quotation of those provisions of disclosure that warrants the President, the Vice President, and Cabinet Ministers to declare their assets when they are appointed and also declare them when they are leaving office. Is that provided for in the 1997 Constitution? Is it provided for in the 1997 Constitution? No. Which means the 2024 draft is progressive. And Honorable Speaker, today is one of the days that I wouldn't go confrontational, but dialogue. I want to ask and specifically tell the minority camp that in 2020, you were in the majority. Being in the majority, you were not able to convince the minority to join you to pass the 2020 draft constitution, and it failed. But remember, history will frown on you if you fail today, whilst in the minority, not to join the majority and pass the 2024 draft. On that note, Honorable Speaker, I beg to take my seat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nominated Member Keba Lang Fofana. I now call on the Honorable Member for Sanimentere. Is out.
I did not raise my hand. How did you call me? Who gave you my name? It was supposed to be you before me. I did not raise my hand. Seni, I did not raise my hand. How did you call me? How?
Honorable Speaker, Serrekunda is back.
I'm saying, I never raised my tag, and you called me. Who gave you my name?
Exactly. He never raised his tag. No.
I did not.
Honorable Speaker, Serrekunda is here, so she could be given the floor.
I now call upon the Honorable Member for Serrekunda West.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to be on record that I am not in support of the 2024 draft. That's the foundation. Honorable Speaker, in the first place, this government is not serious about getting the Gambia a constitution. In 2016, when they won the presidency, with the promise that they were going to usher us into a new constitution, give us a new constitution, they wasted all the 5 years until the 11th year, 2020, only 1 year to elections, when they brought the 2020 draft, knowing how controversial constitution development takes. So unfortunately, the time was so small that the differences could not be ironed out. And unfortunately, the 2020 draft failed. The following year, this same government won in 2021, again with the promise that they were going to usher the Gambia
into a third republic. And they wasted all the 2021, the whole of 2022, the whole of 2023, and now 2024, when elections is just less than a year or more, they come back again with the constitution, not learning from the past. That it's not easy to have this kind of agreement under such a difficult lawmaking. Knowing very well also that the past constitution had issues of areas that agreement was difficult to reach. And they deliberately waited until now. Again, we should soon be knocking the streets of the Gambia and Bantabas, canvassing for votes for the next presidential election. And here they are again. What is this government's commitment in ushering this country into a third republic? Honorable Speaker, it is a privilege for me to have taken the floor on this very important motion. Yes, it is a fact that most Gambians wanted a new constitution. That is true. Nobody will dispute that. The Africa Barometer, I think, came out with the results. Agreed. Even though some of the predictions later were faulted by the government. But they agreed that by that barometer, many Gambians want a new constitution, which is true. Nobody will deny that. But Gambians do not want any other constitution. Not any other constitution do we want. No, we don't. We needed a constitution, but not every constitution. We need a constitution that is progressive. That's what the Gambians are yearning for. And the 2024 is not one of them. So therefore, I cannot support it. Thank you very much, Majority Leader. I'm happy that I have debated on the 2020 draft. It is interesting, even though it is history. I have witnessed in this very chamber faces that jubilated when they killed the 2020 draft. And they didn't only kill the draft on their own will. The government was behind them. The cabinet was also behind them. Because immediately after the CRC presented their report to government, we have seen cabinet ministers, we have seen presidential advisors take up the media, radio and newspapers saying that they will never allow that to go. Honorable Speaker, allow me to say this in Mandinka. Mandingol ko ni flanding ko sawan bitak sawan bitak sare do nen sol. Amo flakebal. Which simply means that if the presidential advisors can come open and say we are going to kill this constitution, and the president is mute about it, it's an agreement. That's why I said it was not killed through the members, but actually it was government that was behind it. Honorable Speaker, it was very unfortunate. I can fully remember I used to sit on the seat where the Jara West is sitting, facing the nominated member, former nominated member. Oh, can I name his name? You know, he was chanting and he took the draft and threw it down. And some members are saying that we are going to use this as toilet rolls. Can you imagine that? Where we spend 116 million Gambian taxpayers' money? Unfortunate. However, that is history now. Honorable Speaker, the draft before us is the making of nothing less than 20 Gambians in the name of cabinet. And I have always said that here. This cabinet is quite different from previous cabinets. They are a composition of intellectuals. Nobody can doubt that. But surprisingly, the output of the 2024 draft does not match with intellectual abilities. I don't expect that I win that from our cabinet full of intellectuals.
Honorable Speaker, when they did what they did, fine. Where I faulted them, they should have subjected that draft that they have made to the Gambian public so that the public can have their input and they can incorporate some of those inputs before gazetting it. But immediately when they were done with their draft, they rushed it to gazette it and then bring it to these chambers. The entire public had no chance of having their input in the draft. It was when it was gazetted, the public had access to it, and then people started to make comments. And there is no way those comments could have been incorporated. Because this parliament here would not allow this draft 2024 to pass today. It's going to end today. Just equally like 2020 draft ended here. This 2024 is going to end here today. No doubt about that. Honorable Speaker, yes, it contains some very progressive clauses which has been chanted. Yes, which has been chanted. When I said it contains some very progressive clauses, let me learn majority. It has been chanted here and it will continue to be chanted. Term limit, 50 plus 1. Fine, it's a progressive clause. But that is not all about a progressive constitution. It may be a progressive clause, but does not mean it's a progressive constitution. Honorable Speaker, that is why the Gambia wanted a progressive constitution. What do we want? Accountability. Yes, and so speakers that are going to come after me, especially in the other camp of my friends, will come with defenses. We know that. But your defenses are going to be meaningless because it's not going to benefit you. Come with your defenses, but it's going to end here today. That's the fact. Honorable Speaker, Gambians don't want a presidential nomination of 5. And Honorable Speaker, I have no issues about the ability and qualifications and the contributions of the 5 nominated members of the president in these chambers. I have no doubt about that. They are all capable, their inputs are valuable, and I am in no way underrating their ability in this parliament. But I am only against the process of a president giving the powers to nominate 5 members of the National Assembly. Each of us, or many of us, are voted in thousands. If you add 5, you are talking about 20, 50, 60, 100,000 votes. You take that and give that power to one person to give an equivalent of 100,000 votes is unfair. That's my position. But not about the people who are occupying the places of nominated members. And the more so, this very constitution is now, or has now given the powers to the president to even sack them. That is very unfortunate. That is very unfortunate. We don't want a scenario when the president nominates and again, that president then has the power to sack you, meaning that he will remote control whoever he nominates here. Otherwise, he'll just sack you. And nobody wants to be sacked here. I don't want to be sacked by my electorates anyway. And I don't think any of them would want to be sacked by the chief, who's going to be the president. No. The future people who are nominated, or even the continuation of the 5, would not want to be sacked. That is a very bad kind of constitution. So, meaning that we are concentrating too much power in the hands of the president. Honorable Speaker, Gambians want a constitution where power should be checked.
The president has the powers to nominate and appoint all the generals in this country. The inspector generals, the accountant generals, the auditor generals, name them, alone, without no subjection to the scrutiny of this parliament. It's not happening in progressive countries, and it's not a progressive constitution. In as much as we want the president to do that, just as we have done with certain commissions and commissioners, let the president have the powers to nominate, and subject to scrutiny will have the best out of the number he will. And still he has the power. Even if all of them are rejected, he will be the one to bring another set of people. But this 2024 draft has taken that back to the president when it was removed from. Mr. Speaker, I was privileged in one conversation, and this guy told me that what has killed the 2020 draft is what will kill the 2024 draft. And I asked, what was that? He said, the 2020 draft, the opponents are saying that, oh, they are taking all the powers from the president. But 2024 is giving all the powers to the president. So it's the same. Because all powers were taken from the president in 2024, the draft dies. 2024 is giving all powers to the president, it's dead already. So we must go back to the drawing board and see a way forward, as soon as this one is buried. Honorable Speaker, I don't want to repeat what others said, because these 126 alterations, I will just put that aside and just conclude by saying that I urge the Minister of Justice to withdraw this bill. Withdraw the bill because it's already failed, and in case it cannot be withdrawn, then I urge my colleagues from the majority side, join us, kill this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Serrekunda West. I now give the floor to the member for Banjul South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think you want me to speak, but I didn't have my tag on, but nonetheless, I will still take the floor. Mr.
Sorry, Honorable.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, for me, I think my contribution is going to be very short. I didn't even raise my tag, but notwithstanding, I will still speak. Mr. Speaker.
No.
Mr. Speaker, I think members should respect members when they are on the floor as per our standing orders. We don't want comedians on the parliament. Mr. Speaker, for me, all I'm going to say is that there are very fundamental contents that should be in constitutions, and I think it is lacking in this constitution. We expect constitutions to be more consultative, and that is what we are appealing to the Minister of Finance to do. Some of the members have already said that this constitution, we are in a burial today. Unfortunately, I think that's how it looks. Not only in a burial, but very disappointing one, because from after the failure of the 2020 draft constitution, we were expecting a more inclusive, a more consultative, and a more progressive constitution. When we talk about democracy, we need to educate our population. And when I looked at this constitution, I think the 1997 constitution gave free education to basic and secondary. And this constitution is rather regressive. If you want a democracy in a country, you need to educate the people. And with only basic education, I don't think how we can expose our people for further education. You can't say that you have opportunity for further education if you only guarantee their basic education. That's one fundamental thing. I am an education advocacy, and I promote education. So if I don't see that in the Constitution, that's one principle that I would have expected to see. And constitutional principles are the values which underlie liberal democracy. Those principles, I think, provide the framework for what should drive as a nation, and this includes proper checks and balances. Mr. Speaker, I have always spoken against nominated members in this country, and I started it from my father, who have been a nominated member, and I feel condemned that. Mr. Speaker, if the 2020 Constitution, the rejected Constitution, I will say, removed nominated members, and I think it was so welcomed by the people because of the principle. And I think that if we are going to look into a new constitution, we should consider what the Gambian population mentioned in that. I'm not saying, because members have a right to reject or to accept. Unfortunately, that one was rejected. But I think if we should come back, we should look at the best from the 2020 Constitution and include it into this 2024 draft. Not remove the basic principles of democracy, which are integrity, principles of leadership. In a strong democracy, if we cannot hold our leaders accountable, I don't see how strong that democracy can be, Mr. Speaker. And the whole of Chapter 5 in the 2020 draft could have been just expunged and added to the 2020. I am so happy and glad that there is term limits, that there is 50 plus 1. But what is that? In the most progressive term limits, they have strong institutional structures that if they need to remove their leaders and remove them. So for me, to be honest, I would join my colleagues on the left-hand side and just put this, not only put it in the trash, but flush it in the toilet. Thank you.
Thank you, member for Banjul South. I now invite the member for Kiang West.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Honorable Speaker, honorable members of Parliament, cabinet ministers here present, various institutions, civil society, media, honorable Attorney General, honorable members, sometimes I ask myself if the oppositions in this parliament definitely forget the culture in this parliament. Let me tell you one thing. If these people I am facing here, 1, 2, 3, 4, those 4 benches, if they have if there is any legal provision that gives them an opportunity, right, to pass this bill without debate, they would have done it since in the morning. They would have. We are debating because the threshold is high. Had they have any opportunity to push this even without debate since 10 a.m., we would have gone home since in the morning. But the opposition, let me tell you one thing.
There's point of order from Janjangbureh.
Honorable members, I was watching at some point one deliberation by the former President of the United States, Barack, in the British Parliament. Prior to his deliberation, the moderator who took the floor said, history is more than the path the path left by the past. It influences the present and can change the future. History is quite important. Honorable members, sometimes we think about our actions, consequences of our actions in this parliament, consequences of our decisions in this parliament can haunt this country for more than 30 years. And this is what is happening today. Honorable Attorney General, I could remember very well when you presented the bill for the judiciary officers' remunerations and pensions. I said this here. I said, when you presented the draft constitution, those of you who rejected that, who were in the same government with you, today you are presenting a government bill. A bill that can go to another reading, that can go to consideration stage for us to make amendment. But they say no to that. What is the difference between those two? The very government members rejected that. Government members, I am not surprised. When you rejected that, I wasn't surprised. You are fond of rejecting the businesses that come from your own government. You did it in 2020, this was in 2023, when 2024, when you did, I wasn't surprised. You are fond of rejecting business from your own government. Whether it is a pretense from the government bringing those businesses, I don't know. But it's a big surprise for government to bring a business here, where thorough cabinet consultation was done, approved by the president, and comes here, you reject that one. And today we are here seated. The constitution that you want to pass, I am surprised. I am very well surprised. When you're talking about dialogue as far as constitution is concerned, constitutional building is a systematic process. A process that must be consultative and inclusive and participatory. And not only consultative, but incorporation of the ideas that you've consulted from people. You have disregarded the consultative book, the consultative draft, and you brought in a draft which was not consultative. My problem generally is about the process. Constitutional building is way beyond the content of the bill. It's about consulting people. And where those consultations start. This is why when you promulgated CRC, act from this parliament, what did you put there? Consultation from one community Bantaba to the other. I was privileged to attend Children Consultation Forum at the Rural Development Institute, where they spent more than 3-4 days. Children, underage, students from every family background, irrespective of the language and the color of their skin, converged and they expressed their views on that book. My mother, by the time, who was a market vendor, had an opportunity to express her view as to how she wants to be governed in the 2020 draft. I was opportune also to attend a public hearing in Kiang, where women, irrespective of their background, age, their education background, converged and expressed opinions on that book. This is the type of consultation we're talking about. The disability. These are the consultations we are talking about. And in fact, when we converged at the conference center, this mediation was done by a very respectable person, Goodluck Jonathan. We owe him a big thank, and we must tell him thank you very much for that mediation. But to tell you, Mr. Jonathan, the clauses that we have debated on to strike a compromise, it was at some point that even the opposition was ready to strike a compromise on some of the clauses when it comes to term limit, when it comes to, how to call it, you may also talk about citizenship and other clauses. We almost strike a compromise. Wallahi, that happened. And to our greatest dismay, when the draft was gazetted, we have seen more than 100 changes. You are talking about how bad the 1997 draft constitution, 1997 constitution is. 1997 constitution, no matter how bad it is, within the entire 22 rule, they were able to make not more than 52 changes, 52 amendments. Within 3-4 years span, you are able to make 120 plus amendments in a law. Which government is more bad than the other? I don't understand. That's a big irony. You wanted to sit here and witness that? To be honest, it is very painful to witness such a day. One of my senior honorable members said, there is no trust for us to push it to the next level. Let me give you those proofs. When the budget was brought in this parliament, anything that is brought in the budget as far as the State House allocation is concerned, when this parliament wants to reduce it, you always say no, and your no stands. You went to anti-corruption bill, you butchered it to zero. The illicit enrichment, unexplained wealth, that is the nucleus of that bill. It was removed. Everything was removed. If you have any opportunity to deny us to speak the right of the Gambian people, you do that. Here we have an opportunity to do that. There was a day I told minority leader, I said, it's very painful, minority leader. He told me, Nimbi mutenenti lumman tenen. Minority leader, he told me that. And he told me, there will be a day, your minority will be important. You disregarded this caucus. Anything we advance as far as the amendment is concerned, you disregard it. You want to use your powers, your number. Thanks to the 1997 constitution that you are denying, we have this high threshold. You cannot pass this bill. In 2020, I was sitting watching from debate to voting. I watched everything. I worked seriously because I know what has happened. Sometimes people talk about only $116 million. Can you imagine? You are talking about $116 million during your debate. The electricity that was used in this chamber. Can you imagine the printing of the papers? Can you imagine the sitting allowance? Can you imagine the air-conditioned chambers? Can you imagine the water that you have used? Can you imagine the food? It is way beyond $116 million.